Okay, we're going to start solving quadratic equations, and today we're using the quadratic formula. So just a quick reminder that a quadratic function is a parabola. So typically we would see this on a coordinate grid. So we have the y-axis and the x-axis. And you'll see that a lot of times these parabolas will cross the x-axis more than once. And so that's what we are trying to find when we're solving these. The x-coordinate is what in those two places. Now, you don't always get two answers. You don't always get an answer. Sometimes there is no solution because sometimes, the parabola could be up here and it doesn't even touch the x-axis. But in the cases of the problems that we're going to be doing this week, you should be getting two answers for each one. All right, so step one is that equations must be in standard form. So we want to rearrange it. If it's not in standard form in the problem that you're given, you need to rearrange it so that it is in the ax squared plus bx plus c form. And here is the formula. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we're going to be using that formula. You just plug in a, b, and c, and you should get your answers. Now, because this is plus or minus, we have to solve it two different ways. So here we have our first example. Make sure you know what numbers are a, b, and c. And we're going to start by putting the discriminant in the calculator. So just this portion. You don't have to use a calculator if you prefer to do it by hand, but you can use the calculator as a tool. Just make sure if you do use the calculator, you use parentheses. Particularly if A, B, or C is negative, but it's just a good habit to get into, so you don't have to remember whether it's positive or negative. You just use parentheses every time. So let's put this into the calculator using the actual numbers. So we have 15 squared minus 4 times 2 times 19. So if you put that in the calculator, you're going to get an answer of the square root of 73. Now don't convert it to a decimal. So we're going to leave it as the square root of 73 and plug it into the rest of the formula. So we have x equals the opposite of b, so we have negative 15 plus or minus, now let's put the square root of 73 here, over 2 times 2, because 2 is a, so that if you put that into your calculator, it's going to just spit it out as this. It might switch the top two and say the square root of 73 minus 15, but it's going to leave it as a radical. And remember, you can't put it in your calculator with this symbol. You have to use one or the other. So I'm going to get you in the habit of leaving this as a radical, and then we're also going to convert it to a decimal. In your Delta Math practice and on the test, you're going to have to be able to tell me the answer in both formats. Okay, so when we give the answer as a radical, we leave it like this. This is two answers because of that plus or minus. Now, if you put that in your calculator using just plus, and it's going to give you that same exact thing, but you can convert that to a decimal. And let's round to the nearest tenth. And then we'll do it again. Negative 15 minus the square root of 73 over 4. Round that to the nearest tenth, and we get negative 5.9. So our answers as a decimal will be this. You need to know how to write the answers in both formats for the test. All right, let's do another example. So this is not in standard form. We need it to be in standard form. So let's move items to the left. So we're going to add 2x squared and subtract 3. Remember to line it up with the like terms. So now this side is 0, and we have positive x squared minus 17x plus 50. So now I have 1 for A, negative 17 for B, and 50 for C. Okay, let's solve this part of it. And that's going to be the square root of 89. So your radical answer is going to be the opposite of B. So that would be negative 17, which is just going to make it positive. Let's do plus or minus the square root of 89 over 2 times 1. So my answer is going to be 17 plus or minus the square root of 89 over 2. That's my radical answer. Now you can use your calculator to get a decimal answer. So 17 plus the square root of 89 over 2 is 13.2. And 17 minus the square root of 89 over 2, your rounded answer is 3.8. So we'll say that x, we're going to put the squiggly lines because we are rounding. But these are my two answers as decimals. So that's what you'll be doing in today's practice.